Good afternoon everyone. Today we are going to discuss about minimally invasive cervical spine approaches, or it is also known as by the name disc preserving surgery. Anterior cervical discectomy, as we know, ACDF by the name, it is the traditionally open approach and which is the mainstay of the treatment, and it is in the last 50 years it has been routinely done, and but it has some drawbacks, like there is reduction in the disc height over the period of time. It is seen that within 3 to 4 months of doing ACDF there is slight reduction in the disc height. There is associated pseudo arthrosis, and there is adjacent segment degeneration which occurs over a period of time. And again, this ACDF techniques carries some complications which can occur either due to visceral injuries, either esophagus, recurrent laryngeal, internal jugular vein injuries which can occur during dissection. So minimally invasive cervical spine injuries, it is not very routinely done, but since last 30 years these surgeries are done in various countries. So they can be broadly classified as posterior approaches and anterior approaches. So posterior approaches is mainly posterior cervical laminoforaminotomy, which can be done either microscopic or endoscopic. There is percutaneous posterior foraminotomy. Then various anterior approaches which can be done either by endoscopic decompression, which can be done transdiscal or transcorporeal. Transcorporeal means doing it through the body. And percutaneous endoscopic anterior cervical discectomy. Then there is oblique corpectomy is also done if you have to compress the cord of the other side. Then ventral cervical foraminotomy, which can be either microsurgical or endoscopic. Then there are various transforaminal endoscopic techniques also. Cervical minimally invasive surgeries carry some advantages, like they are motion preserving surgeries. Fusion is not required because there is adjacent level degeneration is less in these. Preservation of longus colli in most of the annulus. It avoids dysphagia, hoarseness, paraspinal muscle trauma, but it also has some disadvantages, like very selective patients only we can do this type of surgeries. There is unilateral soft disc bulge, and of course there is a steep learning curve and expensive micro instruments, because we need microscopes, endoscopes and all the micro instruments for this type of surgeries. So they can be done in an institution, or when there is a lot of financial support or budget is there, then various quadrant systems are required. The injury to the vertebral artery, because we do a very small foraminotomy, so there are chances that vertebral artery can be injured. CSF leak is more likely in minimally invasive surgeries, and venous plexus bleeding can be sometimes very problematic. And then there is wide bony work is required because small part of disc is being removed, so more of the bone is removed in some cases. Here we can see the posterior cervical foraminotomy, that we are removing the medial part of the both facets, upper and lower facets, medial part of the disc and the medial lateral part of the lamina. So here we can see that there is compression from the bony part anteriorly, and there is disc protruding anteriorly. So in such cases we should go for anterior approach, and when there is only disc is involved, such cases we can go for posterior cervical foraminotomy. Here we can see the position. It is sometimes done in prone position, sometimes can be done in sitting position. Here we can see the patient being seated, and here we can see that the quadrant system is being placed within the cervical spine under the C-arm guidance, and we can localize. Here you can see the figure. We can see that there is severe canal stenosis, the foramen stenosis at this level, and so by doing foraminotomy we have removed a part of lamina, medial part of the facet, and the cord and the nerve root is being decompressed. Again, these pictures showing the anterior approaches, which can be done either endoscopically or microscopically. Here there are two approaches. One is transuncal approach, where we go just medial to the uncus. We drill a part of the upper body and the lower body, and we go inside, and then we decompress and remove the disc in part. And most of the, almost 2/3 of the disc is preserved. Only 1/3 part of the disc is removed, and just the protruding part of the disc is removed by going laterally. So this preserves the motion segment. And in transcarpalier approaches, again much of the drilling is done, and we go to the through the vertebral body. Some people do oblique corpectomy, though we have not tried this. This was given in literature in Korean journal. So they do it while lateral to the main vessels, that is internal carotid artery and jugular vein. They come laterally and they do oblique dissection. So the complete cord can be decompressed. Both sides of nerve roots can be decompressed this method. Again, there is transforaminal. This is more of a percutaneous technique, and it is usually done for putting steroid injections or doing minimally invasive type techniques. So here we can see the percutaneous endoscopic discectomy, the guide wire being placed, then over this the sheath is being placed, and we have localized the segment where we have to do the corpectomy, and disc we have to remove. So to summarize, we can say that minimally invasive cervical spine surgery is yet to be recognized, and it lacks the acceptance due to risks involved, which can be either vertebral injury or the cord injury which can occur during this surgery. Young patients with unilateral soft disc are the best candidates for this type of surgeries, and recurrent disc after ACDF is again a common indication. Contraindication is migrated or calcified disc, advanced spondylosis with osteophytes, OPLL, and evidence of instability. High-end microscopes, slender endoscopes, microdrills, and various angles, bone CUSA, and microinstruments are the preliminary requirements for minimally invasive cervical spine injuries. So we should choose wisely depending on the symptoms and the complications. So still this is under again very less institutes are going for this type of surgeries, because they require a lot of investment and lot of new techniques, new microscopes, endoscopes. So again, minimally invasive surgery should be tried with expertise, and all the expert or all the good armamentarium is there. Thank you for your attention.